Hey guys, it's time for Marketing Monday. For those of you who are new to this, it's a regular Monday feature that I started just under 200 days ago, because in South Africa, we went into lockdown exactly 200 days ago on the 27th of March. And we've been facing so many challenges as entrepreneurs and as business owners and as individuals during this challenging time that I thought every Monday at noon South African time, I will bring you something called Marketing Monday. And it started with me just giving you tips and advice and answering all your questions live. And then in August, we changed the format a little bit and we started inviting guests. You got to choose the guests that you wanted to see on Marketing Monday Live, and we'd have them and host them. And they were guests, could be guests from all over the world. So what we need you to do today is just pop into the comment section below, say, hi, Liezel, tell me where in the world you're watching from. Miriam Edwards has already put up a message saying, hi, watching this afternoon. Thanks, Miriam. Anyone else that's watching, if you're watching live via Facebook or YouTube, at any time, if you want to post a question to our guest today, and our guest is incredible. Our guest is Australian-based and Australian-born, one of the first male speakers ever at the Run the World Female Conference, won an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, recipient of the Junior Chamber International 10 Young Inspiring People of the World. And today we're chatting to Daniel Flynn, who is one of the founders of a campaign called Thankyou. And this initiative is about bridging the gap between the haves and the have-nots and closing that gap of poverty. And it's an incredible campaign. For those of you who might have picked up the Sunday Times yesterday, it was in the Sunday Times. And our guest is joining us live to answer your questions about branding, marketing, entrepreneurial struggles. And feel free at any time, if you want to post a question to our guest, just pop it into the comment section below. I'm giving everyone a little bit of time just to jump on because I don't want you to miss out on our guest today. Really excited to be having Daniel Flynn, who is joining us. Hi, Celeste, saying hi from Belleville. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. Anika saying, watching from the sunny mother city. I'm not in my usual destination, actually. I'm in Johannesburg, spending time with my family. Catherine saying, I'm watching from sunny Cape Town. Cindy Pavashlik saying, greetings to all. Anton Puthitter, hi, nice to have you, welcoming and waving and joining Marketing Monday Live. And I'd love you to keep these messages coming as we have Daniel Flynn from a campaign and an organization called Thankyou joining us live on Marketing Monday in Australia. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Liezel.
Daniel, so you're a new face to many of our South Africans. Unless someone picked up a local newspaper called the Sunday Times yesterday, there was a quick interview with you about the Thankyou project that you're working on, but I don't want to touch on that just yet. I want people to get to know you. Okay. So please describe Daniel Flynn in 3 words or 3 or 5 words to make it a bit easier.
Father, well, probably husband, father, like snowboarding in the snow. I'm out of words, but that's kind of me.
That's okay. That's a great way to introduce yourself, especially snowboarding, because we don't have any snow in South Africa. So
to be honest, we only have a little bit in Australia. So I like the idea of snowboarding, but you know, it's more of a dream.
Well, we have to have you come and learn to surf or stand up paddle in South Africa. We were known for that. I think surfing started in South Africa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so and kite surfing has taken off in South Africa. That is, I hear that's good.
Absolutely, it's huge. I think a lot of internationals come. We normally have a thing called Red Bull King of the Air, where a lot of internationals come and compete. So for an adventurous person like yourself, you're in good hands when you come to South Africa.
Love that.
Daniel, let's jump actually straight into why I'm chatting to you today. It's about something called Thankyou. And it's something new to us South Africans. We're not really aware of. We've been reading about it in the paper the last couple of days. But break it down to us and tell us how you started this campaign.
Okay, so look, Thankyou, for those who are new to us, we're a social enterprise. So we sell consumer products like hand wash. I've got one of our 50 products here, our hand sanitizer. And these products exist all for the end of extreme poverty. The big idea here is, could we use business as a social change agent? Is this something, and we think at Thankyou, it's shocking that we live in a world that has these two extremes. We've got extreme consumerism, the fact that we as consumers spend $63 trillion on product. And at the same time, in that same world, 736 million people live in extreme poverty. So we see Thankyou as a bridge between these two extremes, a way that us as consumers can each contribute to make an impact bigger than just ourselves.
So we're watching from South Africa. You're an Australian brand. Why is this important to us?
Look, we have just launched our boldest campaign ever. It is called No Small Plan, and it's a call out to the world. So it's a call out to South Africa, to Japan, to India, to America, to the world to say, hey, we've got a model that's working. And not only is it working, during the pandemic, the extreme poor went from bad to worse. There is estimates right now of over 250 million people on the brink of famine, 37 million people that just went back into extreme poverty, and they're estimating up to or over 100 million more. In the exact same time when that happened, Thankyou, we went to an all-time high. We sold more hand sanitizer than we've ever sold. We raised a further $10 million for our impact partners. And with a working model like this, at a time when charities are not getting donations like they were, people are holding on to their money a little tighter, we think we need to get this idea to the world. And so we've called out to the world to help. And we've called out to two groups. So to the two biggest product companies on the planet, P&G and Unilever. We've competed with them for over 10 years, but we're saying business as usual is out the window. And we're going to invite them to make and distribute Thankyou products to the world. We're inviting consumers and South Africans to voice their support by sharing the launch video, No Small Plan, or posting I'm in for this idea. And if you're up for it, tag P&G, tag Unilever, hashtag Thankyou to the world. It's a really simple idea, Liezel. If we can find a global manufacturer within months and years, this thing will pop up everywhere. And today we've raised $17 million, but we think that will turn into hundreds of millions of our collective consumer dollars if we all get behind it.
So just break it down to us again as South Africans. What do we need to do on social media and what do we need to share? And then I'll share the details of the video down below.
So look, share the launch video on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. Visit thankyou.co if you want to find out how our model works, where the money goes, and then post I'm in a U, tag Unilever, tag P&G, hashtag Thankyou to the world.
So it's that simple. Get involved, everyone. We will post the contact details and the hashtags and the website details down below. So where does the money actually go?
So our model is we make the money, but we give it to impact partners around the world who are implementing the work. So our business is owned 100% by our charitable trust. Founders don't get shares or equity. There are no investors. So after all the costs involved with making great product, every cent left goes out to what is now 16 partners working right throughout Africa and Southeast Asia. And a lot of our partners are backing local change makers who are working in the water, health, sanitation, livelihoods, and beyond. And really, honestly, I think we have the easy job sometimes. The real heroes of this story are our partners who are working to solve the complexities of extreme poverty.
And it's so important to be doing something like this. This week is a big week for you guys. You've got a big meeting, if I'm not mistaken, with Liezel and P&G.
We do. We have, so the way the campaign worked is we launched a video and then we sent two invitations they're about 2 meters long by 1 meter, and they went in two 20-foot trucks, one to London, to Unilever's head office, and one to Cincinnati. And we delivered these invitations to help change the world to both companies. But we also sent the same invitation to 9 other global manufacturers who are also their competitors. And our call out is, look, we don't need the biggest, we just need one. If 2, 3, 4 want to come on board, great. But it's a bold ask, and now we've got meetings booked, not just with the big 2, but with many more in that group of 9 who've reached out going, how could we help? So our goal is, we've seen a huge, people all around the world posting support. Media in 30 countries have covered this, which blew my mind. And we're going to see what happens. But our kind of bet is that humans are awesome, and deep down we all want to make a difference. And here's a way that we can.
Daniel, this is absolutely incredible. You're so positive, and this campaign, it's incredible. And I'm so amazed that the big guys got a chance to notice it, and they've agreed to that meeting. What can we, in South Africa, is there any campaigns or any hashtags that we should be following apart from the ones that you mentioned, or any other ways that we can target local companies?
Yeah, look, I think this is a pretty simple model. So Thankyou needs a manufacturer, then we need a retailer. So we've already actually, during this campaign, had some retailers reach out going, we're hearing of this thing. Can we help? Yes, retailers can. So if people wanted to message a retailer and said, have you heard of Thankyou? They might be coming to South Africa. Would you be interested? That's all helpful because awareness helps. You know, the Sunday Times you mentioned, this podcast, Justine was just on a podcast, my co-founder and wife in South Africa. I mean, you guys in South Africa have been jumping on board with this idea, which is super cool. And, you know, don't underestimate the voice that you have. And this is often what we do, right? We underestimate our own voice because we think it's not big, it's not significant enough, and yet we sort of forget that there's that analogy that, you know, even the biggest wave in the ocean is really a series of tiny droplets, you know, combined. And that's what movements are. They're just series of tiny droplets combined, and that's what our voice is. So don't underestimate the share, the post, and one day soon when Thankyou launches, we'll need everybody, you know, help this thing get off the ground.
Well, I've popped all the comments there and in the comment section so you can see Thankyou campaign, hashtag Thankyou to the world, and visit thankyou.co or email campaign@thankyou.co. All the details have been posted. We'll touch again on the campaign, but I want to know a little bit more about Daniel. You've mentioned your husband, and Justine was on a podcast earlier, and we will share that podcast as well. We'd be happy to cross-share that.
Cool.
Tell me about, both of you are entrepreneurs, but tell us about the struggles of an entrepreneurial life and an entrepreneurial couple working in an entrepreneurial space.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you've got all night because the struggles are real and they're long. I mean, I think anyone who's working to make an idea or a dream a reality faces struggle after struggle. And if you think there are some that don't, look, I don't know them. In fact, some of the most successful people, the more successful people I meet, the bigger their struggle, the bigger the challenge. And Thankyou was no different. We started in 2008 and we had these dreams of changing the world. We thought it would be easy to launch a product company, take on the big brands, and it wasn't easy. In fact, for our first 3 years in Australia, we couldn't get one national retailer to buy in, to back this. And during that same period of time, over 3 years, not only could we not get one in, we had other retailers meet with us, then say no, go out and basically take our whole concept and do it themselves. We had distributors who promised the world, took like a truckload of water, went bankrupt. We had story after story and issue after issue, but probably the biggest and most frustrating one was we couldn't get big business to back this social enterprise. And it was so frustrating. And that's when we learned the power of people. In fact, you know, and this is my kind of big call out to everyone listening is don't do it alone. Have great mentors, have a great team, but also, build a community around your mission, around your idea. That communities are powerful. There's a great quote that we love at Thankyou that says a small and determined and like-minded group of people can change the course of history. And 3 years into our story, that's what we discovered. We launched a little video on YouTube and Facebook, and we said, hey, everybody, 2 weeks from today, we're presenting Thankyou to 7-Eleven Australia. Now, they're the biggest convenience, like petrol station, service station chain. And we said, we're meeting with them, but we need you to jump onto their Facebook wall to say that if they stocked our first product that you'd buy it. And when we did this, some people were like, you can't, this is ambush marketing. And we're like, no, it's more pre-awareness before our pitch. But it went viral. Not like in a huge way, but certainly back for 2010 or 11, actually. We had people singing, dancing, rapping, uploading their support on these videos online, and it worked. 7-Eleven said yes, and kind of the rest was history. The point is we had 3 years of setbacks and knockbacks. But we learnt, we discovered the power of us, we, a community, and we flipped things on their head. I'll be honest, I wish things got easier. They didn't. They honestly didn't. I mean, still today we have challenges, massive challenges. The bigger the idea, the dream, the campaign, sometimes the harder. And Justine and I both never really understood that, and I'm glad we didn't. But we've always had this approach, which is that we're mission first. This is like, purpose is not a kind of a thing you just paint on what you do. I think when you truly discover your purpose as a leader, as a person, it's like it gives you this fuel on the inside. And everyone may not understand your purpose on the outside, but it's not a coat of paint, it's the fuel. And it drives us to go again and again and again. And even now we still have massive problems and challenges, but I think after going for now 12 years, we know that there will be a way forward. One of our values is solutions focused at Thankyou, and that's what we do. We look for solutions where there's problems, and there are always many, many problems.
I love that idea of solution focused. Tell us what an average day in the office is like at Thankyou. Is there an average day?
Well, not really, and it depends what part of the team you're in. I'll be honest, since March, we haven't been in the office. We're still in lockdown in Melbourne, Australia. I think it's the longest lockdown in the world, 209 days or something crazy.
You guys are 9 days ahead of us.
We're only 9 days ahead of you. Okay.
We're on 200 today.
Well, you know what? I'm going to stop complaining. I thought we were alone. You guys are amazing. And that's been different, right? Getting used to working over Zoom, but kind of powerful at the same time. I think we all just woke up to the fact that you can connect online and it works. I never would have thought we'd be doing anything globally or in South Africa from my house in a suburb in Melbourne in lockdown. Do you know what I mean? This is just, it's crazy. So, at its core, we are a product company. So we've got team that are focused on innovation, team that are focused on marketing, sales, and a lot of those functions. But then at the same time, at our core, we are about giving and finding great partnerships and holding partners accountable, and then reporting back on that impact to our team and our community. So, we're making product, we're delivering impact, and then we're really dreaming about the future. What could the future be? And we're building towards that. And campaigns like the one that's happening right now, this is an absolute blue sky, big step forward. And on its success, it won't grow Thankyou double or triple, maybe 100 times, maybe more.
I love hearing that, and I love hearing how you're inspiring people and changing the world. And I'm so glad we're getting a chance to chat to you here in South Africa. I'm sure there are days where you're not this positive, and there's days where you don't feel like getting up, and mentally you don't feel enthusiastic to face the day. How do you cope with that? And what are some of the tips you can give to other entrepreneurs that are facing those down days that we do face as an entrepreneur, when it doesn't feel like anything's going our way?
Yeah, and there are so many of them. I talked about purpose before as a weight. There's a great analogy. I'm not sure what they're called in South Africa, but do you remember those dolls we used to play with as kids? They have a weight at the bottom, and you knock it over, and it bounces back up again. I don't know if you ever saw them, but they're like,
we don't know. Don't think we had them yet. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but we understand the concept. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so weight at the bottom, and basically the way it works is you can knock that thing over, but it gets up every time. It's designed to get up. And that weight at the bottom, I think it's a great metaphor for what we all need, right? So we need whatever that weight is to keep riding us, because you get smashed every day. There's not a day where something doesn't go to plan in our world anyway. So what gets you back up again? Even in this moment, it's 9 o'clock tonight. I think there's another interview after this. I'm tired. Honestly, I feel like I have nothing left. But what's interesting in those moments, you're probably sitting there going, no, I think he's really positive. But what happens is we can have this weight that helps us to get up, and it's found in a few things. So I talk about purpose. That's definitely part of that weight. And purpose isn't just cause, although cause can be part of your purpose. Purpose is that, there's that great saying that says, the most important day in your life is not the day that you're born, but the day that you discover why you were born. I love that. Love that. It's like, and purpose is waking up to that, why am I here? And then when you walk in that, it gives you that energy. But I think it goes deep too. And I think the call out to everyone listening is you need to go deep. This stuff's personal, for myself and Justine, our personal faith journey and spirituality feeds into what gets us up again. We feel like we're here for not ourselves, like there's a higher calling, a higher purpose. So when our feelings are like, I don't feel like it, it's the higher purpose and calling that kind of just goes, I'm going to push past that. There is team and the power of surrounding yourself with good people. That's like part of your weight. If you're walking alone, I think it's bad. I mean, what's that analogy? I feel like you would know this in Africa, but it's like, well, I feel like I've seen a video of a lion chasing, whether it's an antelope or something, and alone they're in trouble, but together they can figure out how, even though the odds are stacked against them. And I think, like, if you look at Justine and myself, we're like that. We have days where she's not up for this anymore, or I'm not up for this anymore. And in our journey, you would be surprised at the times that we have both felt like quitting, but luckily not on the same day. And luckily we've encouraged each other to keep going, right? And then you need good mentors or people, other voices who will tell you, I believe in you, who will tell you perspective when you say my whole world's falling apart and this went wrong and that went wrong and this went wrong. Once I had a mentor, I was telling him all of our problems, and his advice shocked me. He said, I think you need to toughen up. And I was like, he's like, Dan, welcome to business. Did you think because of the social cause, you exist, or did you think you'd get a free pass? This is business. And part of me was like, that's tough love, but it's actually what I needed to hear. So now when we get smacked down, I'm like, it's business and we're coming back up. We're going to come back up probably faster than you put us down. Like that's how you win, right? So let's go. And I think these are, I'm touching on heaps of topics from faith, belief, purpose, cause, who you surround yourself with, what you listen to. If you spend your night, and I've done this, on Instagram going, yeah, I'm going to get motivated from this. You are going to sit back going, I don't have enough followers. My product's not good enough. This person didn't hear me. I'm this, I'm that, I'm not this, I'm not that. And it's like we need to cut out some of this noise. And these are tools that we all use to help build whatever it is we're building. But sometimes we have to shut them down because they are not helping, right? They are taking over. And so all of that to say, each of us need to go deep. Because when you do go deep and you figure out what are the things I need and what don't I need, get rid of that. We will find ourselves having what it takes to bounce back again and again and again. And resilience is the ability to sort of just keep coming back. Great word.
Yeah. Kenzie, thank you. Kenzie Mahape, thank you. That's the word, resilience. And you were looking for the toy. Ali says roly-poly toy. That's what we call it.
Roly-poly toy. Thank you. Love that.
So we need to be a roly-poly toy. So you and Justine, you're entrepreneurs. How do you manage to balance your work and home life and still being a father and a husband and not a co-worker or a colleague?
Yeah, look, Justine and I are rule breakers. We like pushing the boundaries, but we have learned the value and power of boundaries, right? So the answer's kind of boring. It's something that anyone who's kind of entrepreneurial doesn't want to hear. I want to hear about boundaries. I don't want to hear about rhythm. I don't want to hear about balance. But these are the keys to success. I feel like we've got to, it took us years to figure it out, but how do you set really solid boundaries? We used to have a rule when we drove home, so we drive home together from work, but once the car garage, the door went down, that was it. No more work talk. Now, obviously, we're at home, it's all consuming, but we have 1 day a week that is completely no work. So we can't even talk to each other about work. We can't say the T word, which is thank you. Like you can
thank each other.
We could thank each other, but and so we've learned to build in like that weekly 24-hour block, and we look forward to that. We look forward to it. When Justine has a day with our son Jedediah, she'll have a day with Jed, and unless it's critical, that time for her is blocked out. That is time with him. And if I've got time with him, we try and lock that away and not have that interrupted. We're not perfect at it. I mean, tonight, I put Jed down. Justine's on a podcast in the morning. She's got him in the morning. Like, we're balancing between it all while in lockdown. But balance, you can do it. It does mean you will have to say no to a whole bunch of other people's expectations. Yeah. That's a really big deal. But once you get really comfortable with saying no to people, because you realize that your yes ends up being a no to your family or a no to your health, once you kind of get that, you can actually sustain, I think, for a long time.
Well, the way you've just said it now is because I was going to ask you tips on how to say no, but the way you've just described it about saying your yes is affecting your health and your family. So it's something we all need to learn, is the no. I can't do it. I can't assist. And we all feel scared.
We do, right? We have a fear of but what if this opportunity only comes up once? 2 times I heard it that it really stuck with me. Once was a mentor. He said, when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else.
Yeah.
And he was like, would you say yes to a podcast and then call your family and say, hey guys, just calling you to say no, I'm not going to have time with you. But we don't do that. We say the yes thing, but we don't actually say that no. So it's really interesting once you get in the practice of that. Another time I heard, I had the real honor and privilege of attending the Obama Summit in Chicago in America. They were launching their foundation, and Michelle Obama got up and talked about how people would try and book her a year out or 2 years out. And she just started saying, no. What if I've got my daughter's recital? And why should I miss that because you're more organized than me? But then she talked about how then she started booking her diary 2 years out.
Oh, wow.
And I think there's something in that, right? Because if you plan, you win. So you can plan in rest, plan in time and actually survive, or you cannot plan, have the whole thing thrown at you. You live your life in this sort of spin of hurry and trying to please everyone, and then you burn out, which is not good for anyone.
So you mentioned planning. Do you perhaps use a planning app, or do you just make use of your calendar or any apps that with that?
Yeah, calendar is big. So, and in the calendar, we'll put things like at 24-hour, that one day that's off is in the calendar. Date night, Friday night, it's in the calendar. I've written date night, delete at own risk. Do you know what I mean? That is there. We've got... we try and not just put in the work meetings, and then just really protect that time off.
That is so vital, to have that time just to recharge, to have family time. You touched on the fact that we must put social media down. Many of us are always comparing ourselves to other entrepreneurs where they are in a journey, and it's not about that. It's about your own journey and not comparing yourself. You also mentioned quite often in our interview so far, you've mentioned a mentor. How important is a mentor for an entrepreneur, for a small business owner, but for anyone in business?
Yeah, I think it's really critical, because I think that sometimes we can get stuck in our own head, or we can get stuck in our own perspective. And so we need to be able to hear someone else's perspective. But probably my encouragement is, if you're sitting there going, I don't have the perfect mentor, sometimes we hear the word mentor and it just means I catch up with a person. They're really smart, really wealthy, got all the answers. Maybe you've got that, but maybe you don't. And I think there's this old proverb that has stuck with me that says there's a wisdom in a multitude of counselors. The key word is multitude. So it's have multiple voices. Some of them you may know, others maybe you follow their podcast. Others, maybe you read their work and you're learning from them. There are people that I learned from that I've never spoken to, but I've learned from them. There are others who I do know and will catch up. And I have had times where I've had 2 different mentors or 2 different people giving advice. Both give opposite advice on the same topic. And they're both convinced they're right. And I think, what? Now, it's not that one's right and one's wrong. They're probably both right in their own context and their own worldview. which really speaks to the importance of you finding your own conviction and your own path forward. And that means that you have to listen to different inputs, mentors, industry, others. And you have to be able to also block out some of the advice that you'll get, block out some of what the industry says you have to do the way that it's always been done before. And so I think it's a healthy balance between the two.
Absolutely, and it's about finding people who understand and people that you respect and will listen to. But it's also about finding a whole lot of people, as you mentioned, the multitude of advisors or counselors. Daniel, before we go, just for those who've jumped on late onto YouTube or on Facebook for our interview today, just touch on the Thankyou campaign again and how we can get involved here in South Africa.
Awesome. Well, look, we are calling out from Australia to the world to help take Thankyou to the world. The hashtag is Thankyou to the world. The video is called No Small Plan. We'd love you to watch it. We'd love you to share it with everybody. And it's an invitation to the biggest product companies on the planet who we currently compete with. But our proposal to them is we want to flip business as usual, invite you to help make and distribute Thankyou products to the world. We are a social enterprise. We exist all for the end of extreme poverty. We've raised $17 million for our project partners, and with their support, we could take this into the hundreds of millions. And then we're inviting you, South Africa, consumers all around the world, to show your voice online. Just write, I'm in. Are you, tag in these companies, P&G and Unilever, hashtag Thankyou to the world, and let's help spread awareness of this idea. And then one day soon, let's get product into South Africa and let's get profits out to those living in extreme poverty, and really closing this inequality gap in our world that we just think should not exist.
Especially in South Africa, we see it every day in news headlines, and especially during it's gone so worse. Could you tell us some of or share one or two of the success stories of Thankyou, whether it's close to home or the world?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you one close to home and then one from one of our projects. So 5 years into our story, we couldn't get our products into the major supermarkets in Australia. And so we launched a video on Facebook and YouTube. And we said, hey, everybody, we're presenting to the two biggest supermarkets in our country called Coles and Woolworths. They've said no to us for 5 years, but 2 weeks from today, we're presenting to both of them, and we're asking you, our movement, our community, to voice your support. And we asked people to post on their Facebook walls, if you stocked it, I'd buy it. And people did it. I mean, this went properly viral. And then we had 2 helicopter pilots fly their helicopters above the head offices of both supermarkets. These giant signs, Dear Coles, Dear Woolworths, thank you for changing the world, in brackets if you say yes. Now, it worked. Both supermarkets said yes. Today we have the #1 hand wash in the category, and it's held that position for nearly 5 years. So that's a success story locally. Globally, we fund so many inspiring partners around the world. One of the ones that Justine and I got to visit, and there are so many. We've been, right throughout parts of Africa. We had a really good time in Kenya with our project partners, in Burundi. We've worked in Ethiopia. But this one story I want to share is from Nepal. And it was just after Jed was born, our son, who was about 8 months. And we left him in Australia. It was the first trip without him. And we went up to the highlands of Nepal, where there is the highest level of maternal and infant deaths in the world. It's a really tough region, and our partner there had been working in community for years. It's a really revolutionary project that One Heart worldwide lead, and they'd been successfully able to reduce infant and maternal death rates down to single digits. I mean, the project itself is world-class. It is case studied, but when we stood there and we met family after family and we just experienced it, I think maybe it's because it was after when Jed was born, but I think Justine and I were just realizing that every child has a hope and a dream and a future. And it's not right that some kids will never get to see that realized because they don't have access to basic human rights. And I think that was just one of the many moments where we've gone, our partners, I mean, we get to go home to Australia to an air-conditioned office. These guys are out here day in, day out. And people are doing it tough, and they want out too, and they're willing to find ways to move forward. And we get to play a small but important role to help fund that and and help back these local change makers. So from the supermarkets in Australia to the highlands of Nepal, through to Burundi and Kenya, and now over 30 countries that we're supporting partners who have projects in. That's kind of the Thankyou story.
That's such an incredible story, Daniel. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Just to wrap up, to repeat the hashtags and the contacts and what we can do before the big meeting this week.
All right, hashtag Thankyou to the world, post I'm in, are you, tag P&G, tag Unilever, and watch the video. We have got it in 10 different languages. If you want to share it, around the world, please do that. Reach out to people in South Africa, outside of South Africa, and you just never know who you share it with or where this message gets to.
Daniel, thank you so much for your time. I know it's almost bedtime, 9:30 at night in Australia. We do appreciate you chatting to us. It's midday here. And thank you so much. Thank you for inspiring us to make a difference. And I'll share, and we will all share the story and the message and the hashtags and tag the relevant people and help us
so much
in bridging that gap. Thank you for your time.
Amazing. Hey, have a great day.
Cheers. Thank you so much, Daniel. That was Daniel Flynn joining us from an organization called Thankyou with the incredible project that they're doing. And they've been running this organization for a number of years, assisting to bridge that gap, to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots and bridge the gap of poverty. So what I've done is I've commented down below. You'll see all the contact details. You'll see the hashtags down below. And please get involved. Please share that. All you need to do is share the hashtag, share the video, which I'll share as well, and get involved with this great campaign. I'll join you again next Monday, South African time at noon for Marketing Monday Live. At any time, if you want to invite a guest or you know of someone that should be on Marketing Monday Live, just reach out to me, creative@thegiraffebrand.com. Have yourself a fantastic Monday. Chat next week.